Hello, ladies and gents, and welcome to the daily market update for Tuesday, the 15th of April. I am your host, Ellerman Dambell. Of course, what we are going to be looking at today is some of the biggest moves in financial markets. And of course, the session is hosted on the Sayvio.ai platform. Sayvio, again, essentially is a platform which organizes your audio, your notes, your links, allowing you to seamlessly share your personal knowledge. Of course, I'm somewhat of an expert in financial markets, according to some, and that is the topic that we are going to be covering today. But if you wanted to share, whether it's notes on travels, notes on tech, or whatever topic that you feel like you're an expert at, do visit Sayvio.ai in order to do so. Of course, the session notes of today's update will also be saved on the platform. And now, moving on, ladies and gents, a lot has happened in financial markets. Of course, tomorrow we're going to see the ECB somewhat announcing their rate decision, and markets already moving ahead of this. But before I quickly move on to the actual trading platform, please acknowledge the risk warning which is currently on screen. And once again, if you haven't already, as we try to grow this community on YouTube, do like, share, and of course subscribe. Now, moving on to the actual platform, this is what we came to see. My perspective on what is happening, euro dollar. And ladies and gents, again, euro this year so far, absolutely bearish. So we saw euro move to its weakest level against the dollar. In around 4 years. In around 4 year, euro was recently trading at a 4 year low. Of course, it broke out of this ceiling, or reached that ceiling, rather, I should say. A marginal breakout, but you can see, due to the fact that the price was somewhat overbought, um, it was inevitable we were going to see somewhat of a drawback. So you are seeing those historical bulls which lived there in 2022, 2021, essentially re-entering the fray, opting to sell off. Now the question is, what is next? Are we going to start to see somewhat of a retracement and see the price move back towards the 110 level, or even closer to parity? Looking at the grander scheme of things, looking at a monthly time frame, again, a resistance level has been hit. Price, in terms of relative strength, isn't as oversold. Currently at 59, and you can see there is still some room to maneuver. If you're looking back towards the last true financial crisis, 2008, you can see how high euro dollar went there. The question is, are we going to see something similar? A lot of people were saying Trump's tariff policy could potentially take us back to bear market. Of course, we're already in bear market territory, but potentially cause a global recession. And of course, the last time we had a global recession, we saw where this currency pair was trading. But guys, in terms of this week, because we can talk and suggest what could happen a month from now, a year from now, but you want to see where the opportunities could lie in the coming days. From my perspective, again, it's hit that resistance there. We have seen it start to fall. Where could it land? I do see that is, I would say 111 seems to be the floor. 111 appears to be the floor in which it could be attempting to reach from a technical perspective. But I think we need to also do ourselves the justice of looking at shorter time frames. A daily time frame, again, because a lot of volatility, a lot of one directional moves. So it's hard to really gauge what could be happening. If you're looking at, let's say, an hourly time frame, it's a bit clearer. We already are at a floor. The moving averages are now positioned potentially for an upwards move, and you can see that the RSI is suggesting that the markets are essentially oversold. So, in the very short term time frame, this appears to be the type of move which could be on the cards. This appears to be the type of moves which could be on the card, potentially a move back towards that resistance. Again, we're looking at two or three indicators, all suggesting that could be the case. And again, in this type of move, what I would say, just call it what it is. You would be an absolute fool if you were to short to long. You'd be an absolute fool to stay in the market above that level because again, this is an hourly time frame. A lot of volatility. If you look at the grand scheme of things, you see there's a lot more volatility involved. So from a short-term time frame, yes, some bullish opportunities do exist, but in the longer term, it's harder to say where euro dollar could be heading. Again, the ECB is expected to cut rates by 25 basis points tomorrow. So again, I would say around that time is when you are truly going to see the moves start to come into fruition. Ladies and gents, just before I let you go, I also wanted to look at Bitcoin. Now, of course, in the last 2 weeks, Bitcoin, like every major market, has been impacted by a lot of volatility surrounding the Trump tariffs. Of course, we do have somewhat of a 90-day pause. And that has, to a degree, brought new energy to crypto, brought new energy to Bitcoin. You do see somewhat of a gradual ascension towards this current level of around 84K. Of course, it did hit that 86,000 level. Unfortunately, a lot of volatility and it just wasn't strong enough to break past that level. The reason that is because of this RSI. You can see that level there of 51. The market's currently at 49 in terms of that indicator. Ladies and gents, the second just breaks out of 451. I believe the next stop for Bitcoin will be 90K. The next stop, so you're looking at around a 6K move, I believe, um, in Bitcoin in the coming day. The second this RSI has enough energy to move beyond this point, we're going to see Bitcoin at 90K. So that is a move that I do believe could also be on the cards as the week progresses. But ladies and gents, a few additional research notes and so on and so forth. Again, available on Sayvio.ai. So if you haven't already, please do visit the website. Also, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe for more daily updates from us. Until next time, I am Element Dambell, and I will see you later. Take care. All the best. Bye bye.